I don't care what you say, that is the ultimate power station setup for a camper van. So as most of you know, I'm a singer-songwriter, and for the ones that don't know, I'm a singer-songwriter. And building Dobby was my escape place to do that, which is all coming in 2026. But when I was building Dobby, I was unsure of layouts, I was unsure of what I actually needed, but I think by far the biggest thing that I didn't account for or think about was power. So just a brief power history on Dobby. When I first started, I had a 256 watt-hour power station. For the most part, that done me for like a year, and then I got an extra Bluetti EB3A that I saw on Gumtree, and it doubled my power to 500 watt hours. I think it was about 6 months after that, I then upgraded to the Bluetti AC180P, which is 1440 watt hours. And that AC180P was literally 6 times the power that I initially started with. So I know what you're thinking, so if you've got 6 times the power, is that not enough? For what I'm wanting to do and being off grid and just going somewhere beautiful and being there for a good couple of days to close to a week, stay in the same spot and just create music, just write, just record, and just get lost in the moment. And the one thing I don't want to worry about is power. Well, like I said at the start, everything about my van life journey has led to this point, because Bluetti has just sent me out their flagship Apex 300. Yes, it's not light. I think it goes without saying there's not going to be an unboxing for this. What I'm going to do though is I took pictures, which I'm going to show you here, and as you can see the box was massive, but in true Bluetti fashion, as you can see, it was very simplistic, and it just came with the manual, power cord and a 12 volt car charger, and also a grounding screw. So I think what I'm going to do first for this review is I'm going to cover the dimensions and the features first. We're just going to get straight into it. So let's cover the dimensions. It's 52.5 centimeters in length, 32.7 centimeters in width, and 32 centimeters in depth. And this does have a hefty weight of 38 kilograms. So the Apex 300 is a self-contained battery with a watt capacity of 2,764 watt hours that can expand up to 19,000 watt hours. However, this can be upgraded to 58,000 watt hours capacity. It outputs power at 3,840 watts, which can surge up to 7,680 watts, which again can be expanded up to 11,500 watts worth of output. It's got an automotive grade LiFePO4 battery that will last up to 17 years, so basically 6,000 charge cycles of daily usage, discharge and charging again. It's got plug and play setup with 20 millisecond UPS uninterrupted power source. It's got full app control, so you can basically set it and forget it and use it remotely. It's got this nice big LCD screen, and it's also got the front buttons such as a power button, eco mode for power saving, charging mode selector, silent, auto or turbo, and we have this magic button as well, which is customizable within the app, but we'll get into all of that. On the front there's only 4 AC outlets at 13 amps, and it's also got these nice rugged handles, and with a battery this big you would think it would take hours to charge it. This thing from flat to 80% will only take 50 minutes to charge, and 100% in 70 minutes. But not only that, this thing, you can charge this 7 different ways. So you've got your normal AC wall charging, 12 volt car charging, you've got charger 1 alternator charging, you've got solar charging, you've got generator charging, but you can also EV charge it. Yep, you can charge this from an electric point, which I'll get into later. The 7th one is you can dual charge it from solar and the Bluetti Charger 1 while you're driving, which is just going to charge it a lot faster. And you could mix and match that with EV charging and the solar charging. You could mix it with the AC charging and solar charging. So no matter what, there's 2 ways you can charge this at the same time. We've got the standard solar charging up to 2,400 watts, or we've got super fast solar charging up to 30,000 watts from Bluetti's new Solar X 4K. For charging on the go, we've got the Charger 1 at 560 watts full charge within 5.5 hours, or as I said, we can dual charge it from solar and Charger 1 up to 1,760 watts, giving it a full charge in 1.8 hours. And yes, we can EV charge this at 2,990 watts, giving us that full charge in 70 minutes. And the Bluetti also supports Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. On the side you can see we've got our circuit protector. We've got a standard UK AC input, and on the left hand side we've got the AC in out port that gives us a 50 amp max power, as you can see there, so we'd use that for the EV charging. And then on the other side we've got a port for our battery expansion. And this also covers something else which I'm going to get to. And on the other side we've got our DC PV input for our solar, for our Bluetti Charger 1, and you can see those are dual, so that's what gives us a double charging. And then other than that, we've just got fans on each side of it and nothing on the back. LCD screen wise, you can see I've still got the film over it. I'm going to keep that on there just now because I don't want to get it scratched, but it's just the exact same. You've got your AC input, AC output, DC input, DC output. I love the fact it's got this nice big percentage bar. You've got your Wi-Fi signal. When you press the AC on, you do get the wee button that the AC is on, and with eco mode you do get the wee eco mode sign. And on the right hand side you can see with this charging button, which is basically silent, auto and turbo. So obviously silent is going to be the slower charging, whereas turbo is going to be the loudest, but it will give us the fastest charge. And on the left hand side here you can see we've got the magic button. And this is the first power station I've seen with a customizable button, because you customize this in the app. And right now if I press it up, it's set to power lift, so that would give us that power surge over the 3,840 watts output. But that magic button can be used for other things, and you can set it for other things, and I'm going to show you that just now. But to add the Apex 300 to your list of devices, you would go to add device, and the Apex is at the top. You can control everything from here without needing to touch the Apex 300. So again, this is big enough that you can just put this somewhere and leave it and control everything from the app. Let's go into settings. So you can rename it as well if you don't want that big long name. You've got guides, you've got your network settings for your Wi-Fi connection and your Bluetooth. For me personally, I feel if you're using this in a van, you don't really need Wi-Fi, you just need Bluetooth. And one of the amazing things of the Apex 300 is you've got different working modes. As you can see, we've got backup, and we have self-consumption, time of use and custom. So in backup mode, this is your uninterruptible power supply. So basically in a power cut or a blackout, it will switch the battery within 20 milliseconds, or it can actually be set as low as 0 milliseconds for sensitive electronics. Time of use means that it charges from the grid during off-peak hours, making it cheaper, and discharges the power to your home during peak expensive hours, which in turn saves you money. And self-consumption mode is more for if you're off-grid and you're using it for solar, it maximises how much power you're getting from the solar. But if you're wanting a solution that combines all the features, you can have custom mode, which basically tailors it to suit your situation. And then you've got your normal charging mode, and then you've got your power lifting below that, which basically brings this up to 7,680 watts. And then you've got your eco mode as well, so if the Apex 300 doesn't detect any power getting used or charging, it will shut off after an agreed time of 1 hour up to 4 hours. Here we get to the magic button. As you can see here, we've got it on power lifting. This is 3,840 watts. I can't see me using anything in this van that's going to take up 3,840 watts. I think the max I've got in this van is my induction cooker, which is 2,000 watts. So I don't really think I need power lifting on, but these are all the different modes you can set it to. So you've got power lifting, you've got grid self-adaption, child lock, self-consumption and backup, and time of use and backup. I think this mode will probably be better for people that use this in their vans going off-grid, but also use it in the house. So when you go off-grid, you basically flick it on for self-consumption, and then when you get home, you can put it back on backup mode. But that button, that is a nice feature to have. And below the magic button, you do have child lock. So you've got level 1 prevents turning on any output switches, level 2 prevents toggling any output switches. So level 1, if they were to press any buttons, it's not going to do anything, but level 2, if they were to turn the charging on or the magic button off, then it won't really do anything. And then you've got your usual charging voltages, you've got your firmware upgrades, which I highly do recommend. If you buy a power station, any power station, always go in and update the firmware first. On the Apex 300, we do have a button below the name of it called Components, and this is for the Solar X 4K. So if you did have the Solar X 4K, you could control it from the app as well, but obviously I don't have it. So one of the arguments that I get from people over leisure batteries and power stations, if they want more power, it's just simply a case of getting another battery and daisy chaining it in. But with power stations, that isn't always the case, so you need to make sure that it powers everything that you want it to power. And for me, I feel like you always need to make sure that it can fast charge, just so it keeps up with whatever you're using in your van. This bad boy, however, doesn't suffer from the lack of upgradability. With the Bluetti B300K expansion batteries, you can stack 6 of these into this. You will never need to upgrade this. Have a look at this diagram here. So on its own, you've got 2,076 watt hours of pure power. However, if you add the Bluetti B300K, just one of them, that will basically double your power to 5,520 watt hours. But check this out, you can stack 6 B300Ks to this one power station, giving you over 19,000 watt hours worth of power. Even for Sprinter, in crafter vans, you could get this in 2 B300Ks and you would have close to 10,000 watts. And if you pair that with the Charger 1 and your solar on your roof, that's your complete system. People might say, but that's expensive, but if you've been watching power stations, you'll see that batteries and power stations have been coming down in price over the past year quite aggressively. And what I love about the fact that you can upgrade these is the fact that you don't need to change this power station, you just buy more batteries. So the room for growth expansion is just insane with this. But I know you might be thinking, how is this good for van life if there's no 12 volt ports, if there's no USB-Cs or anything like that? Well, Bluetti has you covered for that as well. Bluetti have sent me their Hub D1, and this thing is probably one of the most exciting pieces of tech I've seen for Bluetti. And it isn't because you get two 12 volt ports or two USB-C 100 watt ports or two USB-A 15 watt ports. It's because this can be used at 12 volts at 50 amps or 24 volts at 25 amps. That's a game changer in itself, and I'm going to tell you why. If you remember in Dobby 1.0, I made a fuse board, and the only problem was on the power stations, they were rated for 12 volt, 10 amps. So when I wanted to use a diesel heater, I couldn't use my lights and I couldn't use the fridge. So those had to get turned off. And then once the diesel heater's at temperature, I can then put the fridge and the lights back on because it's using less wattage. But when I want to turn the diesel heater off, I need to turn the lights in the fridge back off again because of the power spike. The fridge was roughly about 5 amps, the lights were 3 amps, and the diesel heater at most is about 8 amps. So you're talking roughly about 16, 15 amps just to run everything in my van. But the problem again was I was running it through a 10 amp, 12 volt socket. And to get around that diesel heater problem, I've actually bought this 12 volt to 24 volt converter just so that I can use a 240 volt plug socket rather than going through this 12 volt. I don't need this anymore because at the top of this Hub D1 we have a 12 volt 50 amp Anderson connector. So what does that mean in layman's terms? I can now hook my fuse board up to this Anderson connector and I've got 50 amps to play with. So I could basically have the diesel heater running, the fridge running, the lights running, an air fryer, induction hob, anything up to 50 amps I can have running from this Anderson connector. So the Hub D1 paired with the Apex 300 is why this is a camper van's dream setup over leisure battery setups. So enough talking and let me show you how to connect all this up. So this is where the power station or the Elite V2 is going to go, but I'm thinking I can get away with putting the Apex 300 here. Now obviously it's not going to sit right because I've got these planks of wood down, but let's test it. So this isn't a power station that you're going to want to have to carry about all the time. It is just shy of 40 kilos, so you're definitely going to get a workout while lifting it. So let's put it in carefully. See, I think that looks fine. Like, look how much space I've got. The only thing that looks ridiculous is these socks and the Crocs. Is it just me or does that look fine? It does look massive, I'm not gonna lie. Ideally, it would be nice if it could just slide up there, but as you see under there, we've got the Charger 1 set up. So let's plug the Charger 1 in and like that. And again, if you had solar, you could plug your solar in there as well. Let's turn the Charger 1 on. You can see the light coming on there. Now it is at 88%, so we're not going to get the full 560 watts, but at 445 watts, this will be charged in roughly about 7 minutes. So this paired with the Charger 1 is just a no-brainer in my book. If you had solar in your van and you had it hooked up to the other XT60, you could basically bring that up even more through the solar. So let's plug in the Hub D1 and see that working. So behind it you can see we do have this gripper. You can put it on the handles and it holds it quite the thing like that, just in case you want to keep it together. And if you notice on the connector we do have a release button, but we also have a lock button, so you do need to lock it when you plug it in. And to plug it in we just go in through the expansion port like that until you hear a click. and then just lock it in place, so that's not going to move. If you get one of the expansion batteries, like I said, like the B300K or the B500K, you would basically plug the B300K or the 500K in first, and then plug the hub D1 into the expansion port of the expansion battery, if you get what I mean. Basically, the hub D1 would come after each expansion. And then on the front, as you see, we do have an on-off switch. So green will be for 12 volt and blue will be for 24 volt. And when it's at 12 volt, we'll have 10 amps, or 24 volt, we'll have 5 amps. So we just turn it on, and as you can see, we're getting green for 12 volts. So that's literally how easy this is to set up. It automatically communicates with each other when you plug it in. So I think this hub D1 was manufactured specifically for van life to give us those 12 volt ports, the USB-A, USB-Cs, but also for that magic port there, which gives us a 12 volt, 50 amps, or 24, 25 amps. And once you're in the app, you can also see we now have an option for DC. However, this time, if we go into settings, down to advanced settings, we now have DC output voltage, so we can set it from 12 to 24. You can see my lights are on, but they're all coming from the Elite 100 V2. So if I take out the lights and go straight in to 12 volt, we now have lights again. So again, this just functions like all the 12 volt features, the USB-A, USB-C features of a power station. Because let's be honest, if you don't use any 12 volt appliances, you just use USB and USB-C, then with the 4AC plug sockets, you could just buy an adapter that's got USB-C double sockets on it, and away you go. Let me show you how we're going to plug this into my fuse box. So it's just a basic fuse board, and again, all I have in this is my lights, diesel heater and the fridge. Currently I've only got the lights connected, as you can see here, and this black and red wire is basically the power, which is connected to this 12 volt socket. And as you can see on the red positive, I've had to splice it in with this inline fuse, and I think it's a 25 amp fuse, a 20 amp fuse, and this is just to prevent any of my electricals getting damaged should there be a short circuit. I hate anything to do with wiring and splicing and connecting, so I use these tiny Wago connectors, which are so simple and easy to use, and as you can see, are nice and strong. And I actually got the idea for these Wago connectors from Maggie the Caddy. I'll leave a link to her channel here and in the description, and she's converted her own Volkswagen Caddy and does a lot of videos on pretty much the same thing, build videos, plumbing, electrical, upholstery and stuff like that. So definitely go over and give her a wee channel a watch, guys. Like that. And now we have this. So I might need to make it a wee bit longer. It all depends where I put the fuse board, to be honest. Look how cleaner that looks already. And then from the fuse board, we go straight in to the Anderson connection. And that's literally set up the positive and the negative straight to the Bluetti Hub D1. And as you can see, the spotlights aren't on, but the LEDs are, because they're going from USB to the Elite 100. So let's turn on the Hub D1 and turn the lights on. So now the van fuse board is going through the Anderson connection into the Hub D1 being powered by the Apex 300. If you're not getting the significance of what I've just done there, I'm going to explain it again. So we were using this connection to go in through the 12 volt 10 amps of the Elite 100, the Elite 200, the AC 180p and the Elite 30. The configuration in this van with the fridge, the lights and the diesel heater all running at the same time is roughly about 16 amps. So for me to run my diesel heater, I need to turn the fridge and the lights off, and then once the diesel heater gets the temperature, I can turn them back on again. But when I want to turn the diesel heater off, I need to turn them off. Now with this setup, because we aren't going through the 12 volt 10 amps anymore, we are now going from the fuse board to a 12 volt 50 amp into the Apex 300. That means we can now run the fridge, the lights and the diesel heater on startup and cool down with no issues at all. With this setup, again, we've got up to 50 amps of 12 volt power in this camper, so we could have maxi fan on, diesel heater, we could have a TV, we can have the induction hob, we can have the air fryer, and again, you can switch this to 24 volt, but it will cut it down to 25 amps. So this Hub D1, the Apex 300 and the Bluetti Charger 1, I don't care what you say, that is the ultimate power station setup for a camper van. Let's try and not spill any water, Robert, because the wood isn't treated. The induction hob. We have power. So to keep this fair, we're going to have the timer going while this is boiling, power on, and we'll make sure we're all the way up to 2000 watts. And on the power station, we are 1980 watts. So watch this. Past a minute, we have steam. Look at that. 1 minute and 11 seconds to boil the kettle. So we have massive power with massive power output to boil that kettle in 1 minute and 11 seconds. So why did I just do that test and why does it matter? I'm looking to go full electric in Dobby. With all this power now, it makes no sense to cook with gas anymore. I've got the diesel heater installed, I've been cooking more on the channel with the air fryer, and with the new induction hob, it just is the last piece of the puzzle for Dobby 2.0 to now go full electric with cooking. With this Apex 300, we've got 2,764 watt hours, and the power is 3,840 watts, which does surge up to 7,000 odds. So there's plenty of power in there to use induction hobs to the max wattage that they've got. In this case, it's 2,000. Because we're able to run that at the max power, we get the temperature quicker and we use it for less time. That literally took 1% to do that. I was away out in the van just to test out the new bed layout, and I took the Apex 300 with me and got a spot of gaming in with the PS5. And because the power station was at 100%, I think it said I could get something like 20 hours worth of gaming or something like that. It was just something insane. Now imagine if you had that B300K or the B500K, you're not talking hours gaming, you're talking about days. So for cooking, gaming, doing music, even running the diesel heater, the fridge, the lights, all at the same time, especially with this Hub D1 making it all possible, this is the power station I've been waiting for to finally feel that I've got the freedom to do that. So what do I think about the Apex 300? And let's answer the question, is it going in my van? I think this, first of all, is a piece of art, especially with that Hub D1. I just hate leisure battery setups. I don't like the fact that it's so stagnant. You need to put it in the same place. You need a dedicated space for it, although maybe you need a dedicated space for that. Basically, it's a static setup. I've just loved power stations because of the multi-use thing, and I've said it in countless videos as well. In a camper van, a micro camper van, you need everything to be multi-use as much as possible, and to have a power source that is multi-use, because say you're no full time in your van and you get a power cut, you can take the power station in and keep the fridge going, do it for cooking, or even just to charge your phones to keep in contact with people and stuff. That's what I love about power stations. But let's answer the question, is it going to be going in Dobby? I want it to go in Dobby, but seeing how much space it takes up, realistically, for me to move comfortably in Dobby, I can't see me installing it in Dobby, but it will definitely be getting used in the next van. I've already got the van in mind and I'm already looking at them. I know how much space is in the back, I know where the wheel arches and all that stuff are, so I'm already planning and sketching where I'm going to put this and the electrical setup and all that stuff. If this was a Fiat Doblo high top, then this would be installed straight away under a bed or at the back or whatever. But again, head height means that my bed has to be at a certain height to head ratio for the ceiling. But in a small micro camper like this or a car camper, I think this would be a bit too big. But it is motivating me to get the bigger van because I just want to use this in my van now. So for a 1000 watt hour power station, it was £1 per watt hour, which means for 1000 watts it was £1,000. This is 2,764 watt hours. So this thing should be £2,764. It's £1,549 and change. That's insane. Leisure batteries for the longest time were expensive as well with the watt hours, the capacity, and it's only recently since LivePole 4 release came out that they've just gotten so much cheaper due to competition and obviously a lot more people buying them, so they're more competitively priced. But power stations have been holding that value strong for capacity versus price, and it has seemed a wee bit overpriced at times, but now they are catching up with the leisure batteries. And for me personally, I just love the all-in-one system. I love the fact that everything's in there. I don't need to buy extras. I don't need to set up split relay chargers, all the rest of it. It's just there and it works. So let's go to the pros and cons of it. So the first pro for me is that 2,764 watt hours, but also the 3,840 watts output power. Again, I don't have anything that will come anywhere close to using that amount of power, but it's nice to know that I've got it there. And following on from the power that's already in there is so future-proof that you can expand it up to 19,000 watt hours based on your needs. The massive pro for me is being able to plug my fuse box into that Anderson connector to get that 12 volt 50 amps power. I think one of the massive pros as well is the charging. The fact that this fast charges from 0 to 80% in 50 minutes, considering the watt hours it's got, is just incredible. And the fact that we can dual charge it, so if the roof box wasn't on the roof, we could access the solar panel and the charger one and charge both of them while we're driving, because it's just going to charge it faster. But let's cover some of the cons of it. I think the first con for me is the size of it. There's no getting around it, you know, it is a bit bulky, but again, this is a small camper. I've seen it in other campers and it doesn't look as big, but I think I'm only putting the size in because I'm using it in Dobby. I think if I was in a bigger van, I don't think the size would be a major issue for me, to be honest. And I think another con as well is the weight. I mean, some people won't be able to lift 40 kilos. If you get this, you kinda might need to leave it where you're going to put it. But I do still feel it's light enough to carry, but it's not going to be as portable as, say, the Elite 100 or the Elite 200. The lack of ports, I think, are a big con for me, because there's no 12 volt and there's no USB-C, USB-A. We can get over the USB-C problem by just getting a plug adapter with USB-C ports, but we don't have any direct 12 volt connection unless we use the Hub D1. So guys, if you want to go and pick this up, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you use that link with my promo code BluettiRobot, you'll get a nice wee 5% off your total order, bringing that price down even more. But guys, that's going to cover it for Bluetti's flagship Apex 300 power station and the Hub D1. So thanks again to Bluetti for sending it out for review. And again, if you are going to pick this up, don't forget to use BluettiRobot so you can get an extra 5% off. So I need to work on getting Dobby 2.0 finished and getting that van upgrade so we can get this absolute monster installed in it. So guys, if you did go and enjoy the video, why not drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, why not get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you're always notified when I drop a new video. So until the next one guys, peace.